So what I'm doing today is a winter forecast, kind of a winter birds I want you to be on the look for. Mark Robbins, who's the curator of birds over at the KU Museum of Natural History, he loves that we, this customer base is very good at documenting and sending in pictures of birds that are unusual, so he can keep up with them. And things like eBird, which is a database of a national database of bird sightings. All that's really important information to scientists, and so us citizen science, contribute to that through open eyes. So because we have a lot more eyes out there looking at feeders and looking at birds than there are biologists out there in the field to document things. So if I want to go through some of these birds here with you, and please, if you see anything that you really don't recognize, the cell phones take really good pictures. I can blow them up and I can usually discern them. People send me in pictures just about every day to identify. So I want you to some of the birds to be on the alert for that. Classically move in drought years out of the west and come east. So let's get started. This is a northern invader. Last year we had one up in St. Joe. This is a white-winged crossbill. He has the really funny bill. He's a finch, and he feeds with the finches. So we have winter plumage American goldfinches here, and down here in this corner, hopefully you can see it, is a goldfinch with stripes, and those are pine siskins. And those, one guy over in St. Louis had 175 pine siskins in his yard one day a week or more ago. So the birds are on the move. These northern birds, like the siskin and the crossbill, have already been documented, especially in the east, moving further south, and we expect them to move here too. So watch your finch feeders, because finch feeders are really good for these birds to show up at. Let's see. Oh, Ruth's backyard. This is a goldfinch, but this bird here, look at all the stripes here. And all the stripes here, and then that black face with the yellow bill, that is a common redpoll, and those birds are really expected to be moving south this winter, and I really think we're going to see a lot of those down in the heart of the United States. So be on the look for any unusual finch on your finch feeders. Most people don't consider, they don't think crossbills are finches. They are. Look, you can see here, hopefully you can see how good that bill is crossed there. This is a red crossbill, and these are much more common than that first white wing that I showed you. Again, they're usually going to be feeding with your finches. They may be on sunflower seed, but a lot of times they're on your finch feeders, eating the Niger and the sunflower chips right with the goldfinches. So be on the lookout for a big red finch that may be feeding. And look at that really funny bill. And again, try to get pictures if you do see them, and send them in, and we will try to get them officially documented. But this year, aside from our, the purple finches that we are already starting to see good numbers of, and with your house, remember, they're not house finches in the winter. They're both in the winter. We can get both of them, but the purple finches don't have any brown striping on the sides like our house finches that nest here. So watch for the purple finches. I always say they look like somebody grabbed them and dunked them in raspberry Kool-Aid, because they kind of have this reddish purplish wash all over their feathers everywhere, where a house finch is, where it's brown, and where it's red. So be on the lookout for the purple finches. They're big eaters too. So you have them move in on your bird feeders, you're going to want to restock, because they eat very, very heavily. And we've already been seeing a lot of the red-breasted nuthatches. They are really in good numbers. Peanuts, sunflower hearts, sunflower chips, the suet, they'll eat on that too, but they really love peanuts. So keep your peanut feeders well stocked for their little red-breasted nuthatches. But some of these really unusual birds I want you to keep an eye out for are, let's get them going. Okay. Mountain bluebirds, believe it or not. Watch for, we have our eastern bluebirds are coming in good numbers from the north, and we've already had flocks of 8, 9, 10, 12 bluebirds reported at people's bird baths, and even eating some of the sunflower chips. But the mountain bluebirds are being seen in Kansas now. That's a mountain species that, again, drought years push them out. And he is solid blue. Look how beautiful. There's a friend of mine took this picture in New Mexico one winter. We were down there bird watching, but they will show up in Missouri. So watch for an all blue bluebird. This is the bill's the same, everything. They're a little bit larger than the eastern bluebird, but it's not really noticeable. But they may be mixed in with other bluebirds, or they may be on their own. But that's a bird to be watching for in these drought. When there's droughts in the west and here. And probably the best place in your backyard would be at a bird bath, trying to get water. Another bird from the west that we're have already had reported, and Carrie's over there smiling because she saw one just last week. This is a spotted towhee. The towhee, we see eastern towhees here in the nesting season. They nest here, and sometimes they're scratching under your bird feeders, especially early in the spring. Well, in the fall, the spotted towhees, which are from the mountains out west, move into the plains. And October is the month we start to see them. And we got reports of them, several reports of spotted towhees in the area right now. So be watching for these out in the bushes. And they like to scratch like a chicken. They kick the leaves around underneath your feeders and kick around, and they're trying to pick up seeds. So the spotted towhees are another bird from the west that we really are looking for this winter. And then one of the northern invaders, which is a truly prized bird anymore. If you're a long time bird feeding person, you fed birds 35, 40 years ago, you remember these birds. These are evening grosbeaks. And evening grosbeaks used to come in invasion years from the north and ferociously, my goodness, they eat sunflower and safflower seeds. They just gobble them up. Well, we've hardly seen any in the last 25, 30 years down here in Missouri. And they're already seeing evening grosbeaks as far as south as Florida on the East Coast this winter. So this is one we really think we're going to get a chance to see this winter. So I want you to be on the lookout for them. The males are unmistakable. They look like a big, husky goldfinch, superficially. But remember, the goldfinches aren't that bright yellow this time of year, so he would really stand out to you at your bird feeders. But it's the females and the young birds, like here on this side, that are the ones that are a little bit harder to make, because they don't pop out quite as much. But look at the size of that bill. It's a big cardinal-sized bill, and a little bit larger than a cardinal, period. And this is one of the females. And by the way, these pictures are from the Cornell website, because I don't have any evening grosbeaks because they haven't been here for 30 years to really take pictures of. So borrow these off of there. So just to give you for education purposes, be on the lookout for these big birds on your bird feeders. Really, really, I think it's our best winter chance to see them in a very, very long time. Another backyard bird that you really should be on the lookout at your bird baths especially is the varied thrush. And yes, it very much looks like a robin, but it's a western thrush, and they move eastward in drought years. And I photographed one at a friend's bird bath up in Plattsburgh. Yes, Plattsburgh, many years ago in a driving snowstorm. There was this heated bird bath, and she had this one varied thrush that was coming to that heated bird bath. A lot of times they are associated with robins, because they very much so in a flock of robins you may see one, but this is a bird really be on the look for. This bird could show up this year with these drought conditions. And then other birds that we don't think about coming out of the west are not just songbirds, but birds of prey, like the Harris's hawk. The Harris's hawk is a desert southwest bird, but they tend to they can get driven to the east whenever there's harsh conditions out west. And this year, with the fires and the drought, this is a bird you should be on the lookout. You've seen this bird in movies a lot, because a lot of times when there's a hawk being used in a movie for filming, they use this bird. The Harris's hawks are very smart birds. They're very trainable. And so a lot of stunt birds, if you will, for movies are Harris's hawks. So beautiful red shoulders, the white in the tip on the tail, white under the tail, very colorful birds. So that's another bird you can be looking for when you're out in the field. And then a northern hawk from that we get in years like this will be the rough-legged hawk. And this is going to be every bit as big as a red-tailed hawk, but the coloring is distinct. We've got the very black belly, and then black shoulder patches and a black band across the tail. That's the one to be looking for along roadsides here, because in the next month is going to be the raptor invasion. This is for the next month. We start to see kestrels increase and red tails increase, but this is when we might get rough-leggeds move in with those too. So a lot of birds to be on the lookout for in an invasion year. And this is a double whammy. This is a western drought, and also it seems to be a food shortage year in the north, and then finches are being driven. So again, the chances are really cool birds at your bird feeders to join your typical cardinals and chickadees and titmice and things like that. So
did you get Lewis's woodpecker?
There's some other Lewis's woodpecker is one that's possible, named after Meriwether Lewis from Lewis and Clark's exploration. Beautiful bird. They're very nomadic and they move a lot, but again, because of the forest fires, especially out in Colorado and stuff, we may have Lewis's woodpeckers move into the area, and they like to settle in areas of large areas of dead timber. So again, be on the lookout for anything really that's unusual to you, and snap pictures. Make sure and send them in, and we'll try to get them identified. So winter invaders, it makes bird feeders that much more exciting. And this year I think we're going to have a really good winter for that. So thanks for the idea for the program. We've had a lot of calls about seeing these unusual birds and reports on the internet, so wanted to address that. Send in ideas for future programs. Give us a like, give us a share. Till then, come by and let's talk birds.